We all know how it feels to be judged, whether it's at school, it's at work, it's at home, because of the clothes that we wear, the sports that we play, the music that we listen to, the things that we like to do, the group of friends that we hang out with. Maybe it's the mistakes that we made. We all know what it feels like to be judged. I get thousands and thousands of emails, messages, comments, posts from students all across the country talking to me about how it feels to be not accepted by one group or not a part of another group, that their school is plagued by cliques and people judging other people. It's like you walk into the lunchroom and you know exactly where you can sit and where you can't sit, and everybody's got their little place. You know what's crazy to me? That over 42% of all students say that they've been bullied online. 3 million students nationally are absent every single month from school because they don't feel safe. Every day in our country, there's an average of over 5,000 students who have attempted suicide, and that's just grades 7 through 12. Where do these numbers stem from? I think it comes from the way that we judge each other. Judgment isn't just a high school problem. The way that we judge each other, it's a society problem. If you don't believe me, just look at social media. Look at the things that people write about each other on Facebook, the comments on Instagram. It's the things that people tweet at celebrities. I mean, have you ever read the comments on a YouTube video? The world, it's more connected than ever. But bullying, cliques, prejudice, those things run rampant in our schools across the country. A lot of the reason judgment exists is because of the differences in how we value each other. You know, we hold someone as more valuable because they play sports or because they get straight A's. Or you judge somebody because of, the neighborhood that they come from or the money that their parents make. Or we judge someone because of the music that they listen to or the color of their skin, their ethnic background, or their sexual preference. And you know the way you kids hate how adults judge you? It's the way that they look at you for being different, for being young, for being unique. It's the same look, it's the same exact thing that you do to each other every single day. If you're the kind of person who judges someone, all it is a pathetic little habit that starts when you're a kid, and by the time you're an adult, you can't change because it's so rooted in who you are. It's like there's this totem pole that we base people on, like there's this top and this middle and this bottom, and we base people based upon our own value system, and wherever you're at on the totem pole, that's how you treat people. I mean, I've been on all sides of it. I remember walking into high school as a new student with purple hair and a Green Day t-shirt on, and then I became a 4-sport varsity athlete, and I thought I was more important than everyone else just because I played sports. I thought judgment would end after high school, but it doesn't. I mean, it continues on into the adult world. There's nothing that cracks me up more than when I walk into a room filled with adults and I watch them judge me for what I look like. I mean, judgment, it's something that you're gonna face for the rest of your life. And you can sit there and pretend it's not you. You can pretend that you haven't been bit by this poison. You can pretend that you don't have this little totem pole for the way that you evaluate people and the way that you judge people. But you have to realize something. All of us, we all have our own prejudices. We all make our own judgments. We have to understand that everyone has value. Everyone matters. I mean, if you're cutting yourself because you don't feel like you belong at school, you do. You matter. If you don't want to show up every morning because you feel like nobody hears you or nobody cares about you, if you're watching this and you feel like a ghost, you have to understand something. Every one of us matters. We all matter. But if each of us can understand that we've all got value, that we all matter, that's when we begin to change the culture of our schools.
I like that video because I actually heard it the first time when the lady from Jostens came. She showed it to me. She was supposed to be, we were talking about rings, and then she showed me that video, and I didn't watch it all the way to the end the first time, and I was like, wow, I didn't know how powerful that is. But in the last, this year, I have observed how you all treat each other. And if the way you treat each other is indicative of the way you're going to treat people when you leave here, that's not a good thing. It's not just that you judge each other. After you judge each other, you treat each other a certain way based on those judgments. Let me tell you what the Bible says. Psalm 139, starting at verse 13, it says, "For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works. My soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you. When I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth, your eyes saw my unformed substance." God made each one of you. So as you judge each other, you're not just judging each other, you're judging what God has made. None of you are like me, which is great, because if everybody was walking around just like me, it'd be awfully boring, because I know what you think and how you think. You're making a judgment on each other and then treating each other in these disrespectful ways. So then we have two words that you guys are using, or you're not using, but you're showing us. The words judgment and disrespect. You say mean things about each other, or you say true things about each other in mean ways. There's some things about ourselves we cannot change. Every day when I wake up or I go to sleep, I'm going to be this skin color. I cannot change it. I cannot adjust it. I can go in the sun and get darker. I can stay inside and be lighter, but I cannot really change how I look. My hair will always be brown, except when I was little it was blonde. It was weird, and people made judgments about that. When I was born it was orange. I have the same hair as my dad, so my dad's hair now is blonde. People are like, oh my gosh, why is your hair like that? That's how God made him. One of my best friends, he's a guy, he has a mark right here on his hand, and his nephew said to him, what's wrong with your hand right here? And he said, I came like that. That's how God made me. However you are, that's how God made you. You didn't choose how you look. You didn't choose if you were tall or you were short. I'm 5'5". When people say, oh, you're short, I'm average height for my people. Actually, I'm probably average height for my people. My dad's about 5'9", my mom's 5'7". My brother's 6 feet tall. I don't know. This is me. My sister's 5'3". She's not average height. I have an uncle that's 6'4". My husband's 6'5". I just look small when I'm with everybody. It's okay, though. That's how God made me. Part of what I like about the video is not just judging. I also watch how you guys judge yourselves. I say to some of you, you're so pretty, and your response is, no, I'm not. You start by judging yourself negatively, and then you turn that over and you start judging other people in the same way. That's not okay. God has made you. Whatever you are perfect, just like that. You can't change it, you can't fix it, so accept it. Love it, because if you don't start loving yourself now in these days, as you grow older, you're not going to love yourself more. The world is a hard place to live in. People are going to judge you because you don't work as well. You're not as smart as somebody else. You don't have as many degrees. But this is how God made you. I heard yesterday somebody say something about ESE. And I was quick to say this. I was in ESE my entire school life. I was gifted. Most people don't think of ESE as gifted. That's how God made me. I can read a book very quickly. Other kids made fun of that. That's who I am. I like to read. I enjoy being alone. I don't mind being with people. And every day I wake up and I go to sleep, that's who I am, and I accept that. It makes it easier for me to accept each of you the way you are, because I accept myself. A lot of you talk about respect. My dad used to tell me when I was little, not really when I was little, mostly when I was a teenager, respect is a tricky word. Because when you say negative things about people, it changes the way they respect you. And so I used to talk, my dad used to talk to me, we used to talk about respect, and he said, respect is not just something you get because you walked in a room, you must earn it. Every person in some way must earn it by the way they respect others, and that's something we struggle with here. In Mark 12, verse 28, it says, and one of the scribes came up and heard them disputing one another. And seeing that he answered them well, he asked, which commandment is the most important of all? And Jesus answered, the most important, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one, and you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind and with all your strength. And the second is like this. You should love your neighbor as yourself. If you don't love yourself, you cannot love your neighbor. You cannot get respect if you don't give it. If you walk in my room and you yell at me, would it make sense that I speak to you softly? The Bible says I should, but if you're not giving me respect, it's hard for you guys to get it. You're judging each other and you're rude to each other, and then you expect that same person that you've been disrespectful to now show you respect. How does that work? How does that make sense? You only have really two things, essentially, that God is asking you to do, and it's love God and love others. Now, the loving others is really hard, but if you love God, you will love others because he loves them. He has made them. He made Victoria. Victoria doesn't look like me. If she looked like me, you would be confused every day. You wouldn't know whether to call her Victoria or Dr. Ruffin. Actually, if we all looked alike, we'd all be girls. And so that would, because you would all look like me because I decided that everybody looks like me. And so we'd all be girls. That would be weird. That wouldn't be fun. If you do not, I was in church one time and the preacher said this, and at first I was like, that's not true, because I like to dispute the pastor apparently when he's up there sometimes. But he said this, he said, your relationship with God affects your relationship with people. So the vertical affects the horizontal. And And I was like, nah, that's not true. I can love God and not love people. That's inconsistent because God is love and he loves each one of you just the way you are. He doesn't want you to necessarily change anything or do anything to yourself because he made you like that. I always said, if I could just be 2 inches taller, but that's like I'm saying God didn't make me quite right. He did. This is my height. This is how I look. I said, oh, if God had just made my eyes more like my dad has hazel eyes, so then we look more alike, and people love my dad, so I always figure it's because he has hazel eyes. But then that means that God didn't make me just right. And if I don't respect myself, I cannot respect others. I do not know how to help you any better understand the problem that you guys have with each other starts with yourself. You're judging yourselves. You're saying negative things about yourself, and that negative talk turns into the negative things that you say about each other. I can accept who I am, so I can accept each one of you just as you are. I don't need to judge you or tell you who you should be. If you say to me, I want to be a nurse, you want to be a nurse. Fantastic. I want to help you make that goal. But if you say, I want to be a nurse, and because I don't like myself, I go, well, you can't be a nurse. No. You want to be a nurse. Let's explore that. You have to first love yourself. When you love yourself, you can stop judging yourself and saying negative things about yourself. And then you can say positive things to other people. And then respect will be given, and you'll be receiving respect.